Oh, hello there. My name's Jeremy Siskind. I'm the author of Jazz Piano Fundamentals. There's 3 books in the full series. I recommend all 3, you know? Each one ends on a cliffhanger, like it's like the Da Vinci Code. You gotta keep reading. Also the author of Playing Solo Jazz Piano. Also, just highly recommend. Get it on your Goodreads. And some videos, I have a really good sense of where they're gonna go. Today I wanna talk to you about something that I've just been really interested in for a while. You've probably heard about it a couple times if you've been watching this channel religiously. But the basic idea is that I think it's really, really interesting to play voicings where your thumbs interlock, right? This little kind of seagull pattern, caw, caw, caw. I'm not good with this. Wait, let's do that again. Caw, caw. Where the left hand thumb is on top, or at least to the right of the right hand thumb. And in some ways, I realize it's kind of ridiculous because why would you not play lower notes with your left hand, which is going to accommodate them better, and higher notes with your right hand? But there are some reasons to do this. One is shape. Certain shapes just fit naturally or are very familiar under the hand. The second one is voicing, and this word causes a lot of confusion because it refers to 2 different things, right? A voicing could refer to the arrangement of notes on the instrument. You know, where do you put the 3rd, 7th, 5th, 9th? Shearing voicings, drop 2 voicings, quartal voicings. But voicing as a pianistic art refers to which notes are louder, are brought out as compared to others. And as you change the location of your hands, as you kind of reallocate or allocate was a good word. Reallocate which notes are in which hands, you're going to have different and more interesting opportunities regarding how to voice the chords. Because most of us, myself included, unless we're trying really, really hard, are going to usually voice our pinky or our thumb as the loudest note. And so, you know, if we're trying to bring something a little bit more inwards out, then that can get difficult. So let's look at a few ways to create these kind of voicings. First, let me just play some for you, maybe, so that you can kind of hear what it sounds like. I'll play, here's C7. So check it out. If you look at the screen, it's a relatively normal C7 voicing, but if you look at my hands, you could see that my lowest note in my right hand is there, and I've actually got 2 notes higher than that in my left hand. All right, so how would you go about forming one of these voicings if you wanted to? Ooh, you're not going to look at that. That's not important. State secrets. So the first big thing that I'd recommend is take some voicings that you know. Like let's, for instance, take this voicing, relatively well-known, kind of standard C7 voicing. Now, one of the things that we could do, and you should do this really regardless of whether you're interested in this interlocking sound or not, is you can invert what's in the right hand. So think about the different positions this could be in. So it could be here. It could be here. All right, we could put D on bottom, C on bottom, G on bottom. And that G on bottom, we could bring that down an octave. I don't know that this is going to particularly sound great, but this is the process that I would recommend. I would probably like this better if we had the 13th instead of the root. Let's see what that sounds like. So now we have D, G, A. So again, you can invert this up, you can invert this down. That's a pretty interesting voicing like that. Okay. And notice, check this out. I could absolutely play that same voicing with my hand in a different position. Does it sound that different? Maybe, maybe not. But I have more options of voicing these things in different ways as I change the location. Another way to do this would be to keep the right hand stable and invert the left hand, right? So assuming I'm starting with this same voicing that I wrote, I could put the left hand into this position. So there's the original. And I get a different voicing again. Right. Now I think one sort of an element, as we're talking about inverting the top of voicings, one element that we have frequently in jazz voicings is upper structures, right? If you're not familiar with them, upper structures refer to triads that we can form that are not the triad based on the one. And especially on dominant chords, we really end up having a lot of fun upper structures because we have a lot of alterations. So for example, on a C7, we might end up with an A flat upper structure, which uses the flat 13th and the sharp 9th, as well as the root, less interestingly. And so, again, if you haven't done it, it's really great to practice inverting the right hand. Here it's a triad, so it might come a little bit more easily. And we can get to the point where we might have the two thumbs overlapping. If we go all the way down, and we have a C, which is right below that D flat in the left hand. Now that's something I truly would not think to play, because I'd have to be playing that shape in the left hand, which my left hand doesn't really do, and then this shape in the right hand, which my right hand rarely would think to do. So this is a way that I'm finding some new shapes for myself. And it's kind of fun, and we could do this with any kind of voicing, but it's maybe particularly apt here. Is apt like a good word? It sounds like a smart person word. We could start inverting this. That next one I think sounds really cool. I'll have to go to treble clef so that you can actually read it. But now in all of these cases, we have the top note of the left hand above the bottom note of the right hand. So I don't know if this is helpful for you, but another way that we can look at this, if we want, is we could take some sorts of standard voicings and again invert one of the hands. Guys, I'm really making this up as I go along. I hope that this works. So here's a pentatonic voicing in C. And this is how I would usually spread it out, right? When I teach pentatonic voicings, I teach students to take the pentatonic scale. If you're new to this, here's your C pentatonic scale on the bottom of your screen. C, D, E, G, A. And just take every other note again and again. And then but once we have this shape, this becomes a fun thing that we can play with, right? We can, again, go ahead and invert this into different possible inversions, including having the two hands overlap. And then, I might choose to try to bring out the top of my left hand. Or the bottom of my right hand. Right, that's the voicing part that I'm talking about. It really changes the sound of the chord. And if we wanted to be really extreme, which I like having a good time, we could even have the right hand like encompassing the left hand. So check it out. I don't know how well you'll be able to see anything. My left hand's playing this, my right hand's playing over it. Is that good for anything other than kind of fascinating for us pianists and a party trick? Well, it might be. If I'm looking to play something that sounds really clustery, like really busy, I don't often feel really good about just playing a bunch of seconds. It always seems to kind of lack direction. But a voicing like this, which does feel very clustery, for me, partially because I can voice it differently, and partially because I know how I'm arriving at it, actually does feel different. So if I'm going for a real Bill Evans cluster, like, that sounds pretty nice to me. It's almost just all of the seconds in the C major scale, right? I left out an F. And look at how I got it. I played C and E with the left hand, and then I played a G triad plus the second or the ninth in the right. And if I want like really watercolor clusters, we talked about this, I talked about this a little bit in another video, I could combine 2 triads or even 2 seventh chords. So like I could take a C and a D triad, that's so much better than doing the same thing with one hand. I feel like I can create much more because of the way it's divided up. I could also take a 7th chord. Let's take F major 7th and G triad. Moving that shape around. Okay. Alright, so this video has definitely been more about encouraging you to experiment and giving you some tools to experiment with this sound rather than telling you this is the way to play it. So I hope you like it. If you like this kind of more experimental thing, I think Jazz Piano Fundamentals Book 3, as well as playing solo jazz piano, would be really good choices for you if you kind of enjoy experimenting and finding some of these new and modern sounding sounds on the piano. So if you watch this long, say something about experimentation, maybe your favorite science experiment or something you're experimenting with. Bye, everyone.